to those who were killed there during World War II. In all, some 1.1 million people were killed at the vast complex before it was liberated by Soviet troops on January 27, 1945. Today, the site stands as one of the world's most recognized symbol of evil that has been a site of pilgrimage for millions.
This morning, emotions are running high across Israel after 4 days of violence gripped Jerusalem and the occupied West Bank, leaving more than 20 people dead and several others injured. It began with an Israeli military raid on a Palestinian refugee camp. Defense forces killing 10 people Thursday, but the fury and response of Palestinians was swift, and in the days that followed, 2 different gunmen shot and killed Israelis in East Jerusalem. Newly back in office, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has used the violence to bolster his politics, encouraging all Israelis to carry weapons for self-defense and announcing a number of measures to punish Palestinian attackers and those who support them. But for some, that means complete and total destruction of homes and livelihoods in the West Bank, which is only likely to spur further backlash and fuel a renewed wave of violence. Reporting for Newsnet, I'm Ryan Thompson.
Where police officers, the targeted mosque is located within a sprawling compound, which also serves as the city's police headquarters. Police said between 300 to 350 worshippers were inside the mosque when the bomber detonated his explosives. The impact of the explosion collapsed the roof of the mosque, which caved in and injured many people. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif vowed stern action against those who were behind the attack. And in New Zealand, the city of Auckland is experiencing record levels of rainfall, killing 4 people so far. A state of emergency was declared in the region last week, and today people in Auckland continue to assess the damage. The storm closing highways and flooding homes. At the airport overnight, after all flights were canceled, stranding hundreds. So far, domestic flights have resumed, but there is still no word when international flights will resume. Authorities targeted workplaces, schools, religious institutions, and public transportation, among other locations, killing 513 people and injuring 1,234. The attackers were overwhelmingly men, often with histories of mental health issues, financial insecurity, or engaging in domestic violence. Guns were typically the weapon of choice. Mass shootings have become a regular occurrence in the United States in recent decades, but lawmakers remain divided on the solutions, with Democrats calling for more gun control measures, while Republicans focus on mental health and increased security. The report comes days after a pair of mass shootings in California took the lives of 18 people, and as authorities searched for motives in the attacks, both linked to older men. While the UK is siding toward migrants stood outside, activists there assisting with food and translations argued that the migrants were being forced out of the hotel. Police said the migrants dispersed shortly after. No arrests were made. A representative for Mayor Adams said the city is shuttling single adult men to the Brooklyn cruise terminal so that the Watson Hotel can house migrant families. All right, coming up next, we've got to look at weather with the Newsnet weather team. We still have some active weather across the midsection of the country where we are seeing wintry weather and even icing in some locations. We've got super cold air plunging in from Canada to the northern plain states and a little bit of rain working its way across the southeast. Then we'll talk sports. A
lot of really good points, and thank you for your husband's service. I do want to ask you about the morale of Border Patrol. There seems to be a record number of Border Patrol agents committing suicide. If you could speak to that, and also touch on the human trafficking. I mean, this is something that I think is a lot of times overlooked as well.
Our Border Patrol agents are broken. We have lost friends. Just in a few months, we have lost 2 friends that are personally our friends that my husband worked with. And it was very difficult. It's been very difficult. We've been in already 3 funerals in just 2 months. And it really put a different perspective Also, for me, I turned on my husband and said, "Are you okay? Is there anything that I can do for you?" Because I know that he's going through so much at work, but we're blessed to have a very strong family, but I know that it's been very difficult for him. And like I said, I was never worried about him before. And now I'm constantly checking on him, or he's checking with me, just because I just want to know that, want to make sure that he's okay. And yes, child trafficking is a reality in our country. We lead on child trafficking, and that's something that we should all come together. There's issues that separates us, but I know this issue is something that unites us. And I think that in our country, we need to focus more on issues that bring us together. I know we're very divided right now politically, but it weakens us as a country. If Americans stop talking to each other, it does. We need to start talking to each other, and what we will realize is that we actually agree on more things than what we think. And I know that human trafficking, child trafficking is something that we all agree that we need to focus on. And by securing the border, we're actually lowering child sex trafficking, human trafficking. And we need to have more resources for victims of human trafficking, for victims of child trafficking as well.
So switching gears a little bit, there's talk of the vast influx of illegal immigration being, what people would call economic migrants, people seeking a better life, which is great, but there is a legal process for that. How do you differentiate or make sure that those fleeing communist countries, for instance, Cuba or China, are coming here and are able to still be able to seek refuge immediately?
Well, the problem is that a lot of migrants are taking advantage of our asylum claims. So if we fix the asylum claims, we're actually going to help the people that actually do have a legitimate claim. Right now, everyone is claiming asylum, and we know that the majority of them actually don't have a legitimate claim. So by us enforcing the laws that we already have in place, and also working and supporting bills that will secure the border, but that also will fix the asylum process. And right now, we do have bills that will do that. It's so important to support the Texas bill. There's a lot of members here in Texas and throughout the country that are supporting this bill that will fix the asylum claims, because again, they're being taken advantage, and we want to be able to help those that actually do have a legitimate claim. And I believe that it needs to be a top priority. Border security and asylum claims need to be a top priority for us all.
Former Texas Congresswoman Mayra Flores, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Has been building over allegations he settled a multi-million-dollar unpaid tax bill while in charge of the country's treasury. Zahawai acknowledged the dispute with tax authorities, but says his error was not deliberate. British media reports the settlement came to almost $6.2 million.